Hey everybody, it's Josie here. I'm going to be doing a book review today, and then based on the book, because this particular book that I'm reviewing today is actually a translated work. And translated works are something that I've been trying to get into more, and I don't really know why I haven't read that many in the past, not really for lack of any particular intent, just maybe luck of the draw, I guess. But the book I'm going to be talking about here is The Circle by Sara Elvgren. I hope I'm saying that right. Sara Elvgren and Strandberg. Now, Strandberg, I believe, is the translator of this book. So, oh no, I'm lying. Sara B. Elvgren and Matt Strandberg were the original authors, and then it's translated from the Swedish by Per Carlsson. So, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to recommend some other books that I have read fairly recently that are translated works that you may be interested in. So first off, the review for this one. So this book is The Circle. It is, in a nutshell, about teenage witches. So set in Sweden, in a small town in Sweden, and these girls are in high school. So one thing I really love about this book is that most of the main characters are women, and it focuses very much on these girls that are circle of witches, and about their lives and who they are, and it has a lot of really in-depth views and opinions, which I love. But basically, it focuses on these girls. They are in high school. I believe they're 16 right now. This is the first book of a trilogy. So the next one is called The Fire, I think, and then The Key. And I believe from sort of reading the synopsis of the next one, they move up a grade. So I think they get older as the series goes on, which is something I really quite like. I have a bit of a bugbearer when you're reading a series like this, and each book in a series, and sometimes they're really long series, it seems to play out in the span of 1 year. They never actually grow any older or move up a grade. That always used to happen in Beverly Hills 90210 as well. They never seem to really move up a grade. But anyway, so such an aside. So what I like about this trilogy, or what I'm hoping will happen, is that they will actually progress and get older, and you'll see that progression in their characters as well. So this is, back to the synopsis, about a group of high school girls, and they find out through circumstances that they are actually a circle of witches, and that each one of them has certain powers and affinities with a particular element. And really, you just kind of had to say to me witches in high school, and it was really a book that I was always bound to pick up, because I am a sucker for anything in that genre. The Craft is one of my all-time favorite movies, and Charmed is one of my all-time favorite TV series. So anything witchy, I love witch books. So I had high hopes of this, and I have to say I really enjoyed myself for a number of different reasons. So this book, and I don't know if it is because it's Swedish, and actually I'm going to answer my own question, it probably is because it's Swedish and not from the traditional. I guess most of these types of books are set in America, or set from the American point of view, or the British UK point of view. I feel like the author has taken a slightly grittier and almost a slightly more real view on these characters. So what I loved is that each one of these girls is not picture perfect, whether it be the way they look, the way they behave, their background, their family. They all have very distinct characters. They all have flaws, but also strengths, so strengths and weaknesses. They all have issues that they're dealing with, whether it's internal, whether it's the way they're perceived, whether it's their family. It's none of their lives are kind of smooth, plain sailing. None of them are sort of necessarily head cheerleader. And they feel some of the internal dialogue and some of the situations and some of the familial situations feel a bit more gritty and a bit more real. So I suppose you could compare it to, I know at the moment sort of Scandi Noir is a big thing, and things like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I love, and all those kind of TV programs that are set sort of in Scandinavia. And it has, I feel like it has that atmosphere to it, which I really love. That slightly, it's gonna sound terrible, that slightly bleak, more gritty atmosphere than you would maybe find. I think if this were British or American set, it would be more glossy, more glossy, shiny kind of high school experience and town. And so I really, really like that. And I like the fact that I did hear somebody say that there's not enough action. There is action. It is a fairly chunky book, so I think it's just under 600 pages. But what I actually really liked was that you really get to delve into the characters and the relationships between these girls. So while there is action and there's obviously things going on, and you know, they're chosen circle of witches, of course there's going to be things going on. And I think in the front it says, let the witch hunt begin, so you can get that, you know, there's going to be some murder and mayhem in the background. But I did really like that this book, I felt like it really set you up. So full disclosure, I will be ordering the second book because I definitely want to carry on and see what happens in the series. So I liked it. But I feel like it sets you up well for the rest of the series, or I'm hoping it will, because you're really, like I said, you're really focusing in on these characters. You're really getting to know them. You're kind of delving into the relationships and into their different psyches, I guess. And it's also that idea that I liked is the author plays very much, I think, with the idea of power and feeling powerless. What gives you power? And when you do have power, how do you use it? You know, personal gain comes into it, all of those things, which I really, really enjoyed. And like I said, it was slightly more on a gritty way of doing it. The description of the small town, Anglesford, is really... I like it. It is. I can sort of picture it in my head, and it feels kind of like eerie and small towns-ish and kind of slightly bleak. And I really like that about this book as well. So I think it casts some great atmosphere and witchy vibes. I like the fact that you had some sort of spell casting and stuff in it, because in a lot of other witch books I read, weirdly, there isn't that much of it. So I like that element as well, the fact that they're actually practicing witchcraft. So I have to say, I, all in all, really enjoyed myself. I give this a 4-star read, really liked it, and really want to kind of delve into the rest of the series and see where it goes from here, because, yeah, I feel like we've really set the scene, and I'm hoping that that's going to just develop further throughout the book. One thing I will say, when I had this on my TBR, a lot of people were really hyping up the fact that it had a lot of queer rep. I get what they're saying, but if you're really looking for kind of queer relationship as such, it's not necessarily in this book. I feel like it will be in the rest of the series, possibly. But I think that's one thing. So if you're reading it only for that, it's not necessarily going to be in here, but you'd have to probably carry on. But we do have some queer rep in the sense that there is a gay character, and then there feels like there's going to be quite possibly a really nice slow burn romance in this as well. And it's also interesting in an exploration of different kinds of relationships, particularly teen relationships. And again, exertion of power, control over each other, that kind of thing. So really, really good. I think just a very interesting take on it, a slightly different take on it, but still in that genre. So if you like witch, teen, high school books, yeah, absolutely. But if you want something that's a bit more, yeah, gritty in real life, I would definitely recommend this. I really, really enjoyed myself. So on the basis of this, like I said, this is a translated work. I wanted to recommend some of the other books that I've read that are translated. So I've got a few here. So the first one I'm going to talk about, there's actually 2 books that I have by Chi Myojin. I'm murdering the name. This one is Last Words from Montmartre. I also have Notes for Crocodile, and they are her 2 only published books as far as I'm aware. I love this cover, look at it. You kind of have the ghost faces in there. So these are very autobiographical. They're tough at times to read because this book is described as basically like a suicide note, and she's writing a series of letters to her ex-girlfriend. The author was queer. They are queer as well, which I love. But these books are very serious. The author is Taiwanese, and it kind of, you really delve into the psyche of the author and these relationships and how she relates to others and how she views the world, how she sees herself. They're not happy, cheery books, but I love them, and I probably love this one even more. And it really that kind of concept of a kind of almost an obsessive relationship a little bit, and letting go of that and finding yourself and not feeling like you, yeah, that idea of loneliness, you know, being in a relationship, not being in a relationship, having someone there, really obsessing about them, writing letters to them, reminiscing about the past, that almost not being able to let go of the past, and wanting to reclaim that. Like I said, it's tough, but if you can handle those kind of themes, it's beautifully written, and I would say by definition beautifully translated, because that writing really comes across, and just incredibly poignant, in my opinion. And the next one I've got is Paradise Rot by Jenny Havell. I'm saying that right. So Jenny is a musician and a novelist. I believe this is her first book. So she's more well known for writing music and her music. But this one is really interesting. So it is about a student that goes to university. And she is in I'm just trying to think, is it in the UK? I think it is in the UK that she goes to university. And she basically moves in with a roommate, and there's a lot of atmosphere, there's a lot of characterization. So if you're looking for really action-packed books, this is not it. But she moves in with this roommate in this kind of old derelict building, and just their relationship also becomes slightly codependent and claustrophobic. You know, again, queer rep, and it's delving into people's psyche. It's delving into that idea of being out of your comfort zone, somewhere where you're not, where you're an outsider, I guess, forging bonds of relationships and friendships. You know, it's like depression, kind of, it kind of goes into slightly fantastical elements. It's just, I really like this book, really like this book. Yeah, so this is one I would definitely recommend as well. Again, beautifully translated. The writing is gorgeous. I'm just trying to see who the do they tell me? Marjam Idris is the translator, but it is gorgeously translated. And yeah, it's boundaries, relationships, psyche, obsession, yeah, all of that. It's really good. And then the last one I've got here is Crimson. So this is by Nivek Cornelissen. I hope I'm saying that right. And she's a Icelandic author. And this is basically the lives and loves of a bunch of sort of 20-somethings. It's queer as heck. Loads of lovely queer relationships, especially female relationships in here. Love that. It is a really interesting book as well, really unique. So you have photographs in it, and you can see, I really liked it because I tabbed quite a few bits and pieces. And then you also have some pieces where it's actually written in kind of text format. And I'm trying to find them as I speak. So there you go. You actually have the texts, which I thought was really interesting. It's very modern. It's kind of a Sex and the City set in Iceland with lots of queer rep, which is awesome. So it's basically exploring their different relationships, how they relate to each other, their sexuality, their ideas, all of that. And definitely not as heavy as the others. And I really enjoyed this. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this. And if you haven't ticked off Iceland on your places where an author's come from, this is one. So thank you very much for listening to me. I will talk to you all again very soon. Bye bye.